I mean, Axeman was always kind of, to me, too, a little bit more of a wild character for the lore.
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
Japan.
Now it's time to pick up the pace.
Here comes a new challenger. Elena wins.
Sir.
Grace. Grace. Grace Ashcroft.
Yes?
My office.
Oh, coming. If this is about the report you asked for yesterday, it'll be ready in 3. No, 2 days, tops.
Put a hold on that for now. We found another body. One that exhibits the same pathology as the others we've been investigating. Now, I need a good technical analyst on this.
Okay.
I need your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel. I know that's where your mother was murdered. Alyssa died 8 years ago. Perhaps it's time for you to face the past. Grace.
What is this? Hey! Help!
Stay close. They're coming.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
We need to keep our voices down.
Have you seen the same shit I've seen?
Please know that you are my hope.
Everyone's gone.
Stay away from that!
What's good, everyone? Michael and Matt here at Summer Game Fest, and we just played Resident Evil Requiem. We don't have too much to show on video for you, but we do want to talk about our gameplay experience. So, Matt, can you walk us through what we played?
Yeah, it was a very scary demo. It was about 30 minutes, and we took control of the new protagonist, Grace Ashcroft, who is a FBI investigator. And obviously, you know, she wakes up in this spooky abandoned hospital where all sorts of gore and gutsy viscera things seem to have happened, but we don't really know the full story. We just know that she wakes up in this abandoned looking hospital. It's very scary, and as she sort of explores these hallways, in the nurses stations, there's like blood everywhere, but it's also very like Resident Evil-y, so there's like gothic architecture in random places where you don't expect them. Like the doors have like marble statues for, I don't know, it's a very fancy hospital, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me a lot of Resident Evil 7 in that way. And Resident Evil 8 felt, I don't want to say whimsical, but there was something about that game kind of took the edge off a little bit more. There's a little bit more action, but I think my impression of this gameplay demo is that it kind of reels it back to the feeling of RE7. And the one thing I want to say about Grace Ashcroft as a character is that as I played the demo, I felt her fear as well. And you could hear it in her expressions, in her voice, and the way she moves. Even went through from previous games, I didn't really get a real serious gauge of his personality. But right off the bat with Grace in the opening cutscene that you see, and then even in the trailer, when you see her, like she's an FBI investigator, and like the remnants of her mom she's going to investigate. So she's involved on some level, but one of the things that was mentioned to us is that even though she is an agent, she knows how to handle a gun. This is all unfamiliar territory for her. So getting that sense of fear and some of the jump scares and some of the atmospheric horror elements of this game are also expressed through the character. So I really like that as a touch.
Yeah, it was. So you touched on it a little bit, but in the trailer, she's like introduced, like surrounded by books and her dossiers and things like that, and you can get the sense that she's kind of like a bookworm, and that comes through in the gameplay. Like she is not like a Leon Kennedy where she's like a super agent spy butt kicker, right? Like you can hear her sort of taking like calming breaths, as she like sees like scary hallway, scary things in the hallway, right? She goes like, who, and it gets like a real sense of like terror in there, which is really
a lot of dread.
Yeah, a lot of dread.
Yeah, and playing through the demo too, there's the traditional Resident Evil foundation there, where you're investigating the environment, this environmental storytelling and puzzles, and I need to find this item to open this thing, which gets me this other item so I can progress. So it still has that familiar Resident Evil foundation. But even like through that, even though I kind of know what the moment to moment is like for a modern Resident Evil game, there's still creative ways in which they kind of keep you on your toes. And although like there isn't much we can show, there is another monster that will be chasing me around in this game, in the same vein as a Mr. X or a Nemesis or a Lady Dimitrescu. Like there's still that there as well. But the hard part in talking about is because we don't have a lot of context. Like you said, we jump into the demo without much story with that. But you still get a sense of what's going on by investigating like notes laid on tables and looking at some of the things that are on the floor in and around the environment. And once you get out of once you start demo, there's like a note where it's like taking like a timetable like at 14 minutes her blood like was changing, but then she start going hail or whatever. So I'm guessing that something's going on with Grace, and I'm expecting to see her evolve as a character, with her being like, I suppose she's being the subject of what's going on in Requiem. That's just kind of speculation, but that's kind of like the fun part of games like Resident Evil, where you inspect the environment and you kind of like come up with your idea of where this game is going. So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
No, yeah, she's a new character, and we don't know too much about her yet, right? But we do know that she has ties to her mom, who is in Resident Evil Outbreak, and so there's like a legacy element there. But yeah, as far as characters go, like this is a new entry into the Resident Evil canon for us, and so I'm really excited to find out more about her, find out more about her backstory, find out like how she connects to the overall umbrella conspiracy of it all. I think, should we talk about the sort of question that I'm sure everybody has about this game, where is it first person or is it third person? And the answer is it's both.
Yeah, it's both. So the way it works is that in the menu you can choose first person or third person, and Capcom's been testing this out with like the Resident Evil Village DLC, so it's not unfamiliar. Now, obviously the RE remakes that we've gotten in the past are all third person, but with this one, it's that slower paced RE7, RE8 formula but with that third-person mode, it does change the experience quite a bit. And like that's not surprising, but actually jumping between those, it's like, oh, okay, when I'm sneaking around trying to get around this monster that's chasing me, third person is like super useful. And making sure I'm sneaking around, peeping around corners, I don't have to like expose myself in that sense. But when I'm looking at things in the environment, I like going back to first person. Yeah, so the thing that I'm hung up on is that switching between them has to be done through the menu. And do wish there was a way to like click a stick and then it'll change your view. I know there's technical limitations to what you can do with that in that regard, but at least you do have the option for this one. So, you know, first person mode, maybe get motion sick a little bit. You know, that is definitely a thing that can happen. So you can kick it to third person and it'll be fine. But either way, yeah, I think it's still a pretty eerie experience. It's a very dreadful experience.
No,
What up,
you
guys?
touched on it,
We're
right?
here
Like,
for the
I think
Capcom
there's,
showcase.
It's interesting, right? Because there's they talk about how this is going to be survival horror at its core, and that's going to be a very scary and spooky game like the last couple of games.
On a moment.
But there's going to be a little more actiony, and I feel like that comes true with the perspective choose. You know, in first person, it is full throttle. It is so scary in first person, especially when the giant monsters chase season, right? But in third person, you got a little like new element of like stealth action, you know, coming in, and that is introduced just by perspective change. And I like how like it, regardless of which perspective you choose, like it's detailed in both ways, right? Like the character animations in third person perspective, it looks really cool and really fluid. But in first person, you know, you get the upfront or the you know, in your face, you know, like action of it all. And so it's a really cool way to play the game, and especially like swapping back and forth, you get two different flavors of the game a while playing the same demo. But you're right, I do wish there was like a sort of like seamless way that you can, you know, change between the two, like in Fallout. Sure, yeah. But for now though, I just really appreciate that you are able to get both, and regardless of, you know, how you prefer your Resident Evil, whether you're a first person, you know, enjoyer or a third person enjoyer, you get a really good version of both.
Yeah. I guess the last thing that I'm thinking of is how this is going to fit into the rest of the Resident Evil lore, what story they're trying to tell. Of course, you mentioned Grace's mom is a character from Resident Evil Outbreak, and what's the connection there, of course, is what we're wondering. And also, this is ostensibly Resident Evil 9. I mean, there's no secret. It was toying with us with like the key art. So Resident Evil Raccoon, Resident Evil 9. How this is going to tie back to Village, and even, you know, 7. Those things are always some of my favorite elements of the Resident Evil franchise as a whole, is all these different connections there. And I have a sneaking suspicion that, you know, not to say that Village didn't have like an extensive store, but I do think there's a little bit more emphasis, judging from the trailer and some of like the, you know, the emphasis on Grace as a character, more so than like Ethan Winters felt like a kind of stand-in. And like his story did evolve once it got towards the end of Village, of course. But it feels like right out of the gate, they're really highlighting Grace as a character in this game. So I'm looking forward to how that's going to play out.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Like, I think 7 and 8 in particular with Ethan, it kind of felt like a side adventure. You know, there was like the Umbrella connection, and there was Chris Redfield who appeared in Village, but it really felt like Ethan sort of like went off on his own and had this like, and it like brought in the world of Resident Evil, so to speak. But yeah, with this new game, it's like back, I think it's back in Raccoon City. That's what the trailer seems to imply. We don't know for sure. It seems like there's some like direct connections to the events of Resident Evil 2, and so it kind of feels like you're getting sucked back into the sort of like main storyline.
So those are our impressions of Resident Evil Requiem based on our demo that we played here at Summer Game Fest. If you want more on this game or anything that's been happening in the summer of gaming, stick with IGN.
Alyssa died.
Yeah, we got quite a bit to go over with.
Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
With the announcement
Got quite a
trailer
bit
of
to
Resident Evil
go look
Requiem,
forward to with
Capcom has provided some of the first hints
yeah,
about
with
the story being
Resident
told
Evil
in the
9.
9th mainline entry in the Resident
Hopefully we get
Evil
more
series.
news on it
The trailer
today.
didn't include any of the series' familiar faces, but it did suggest that Requiem has ties with a lesser-known Resident Evil game from way back in the PlayStation 2
Yeah, really
era.
hoping that we get a lot more from it.
Outbreak was released in 2003, between Resident Evil 3 in 1999 and the franchise's semi-reboot with Resident Evil 4 in 2005, and shook up the series' formula up to that point. Instead of a single-player experience, Outbreak was Resident Evil's first major foray into online cooperative gameplay, with as many as 4 players fighting to survive the T-virus outbreak in Raccoon City that serves as the setting for Resident Evil 2 and 3. While Leon Kennedy, Claire Redfield, and Jill Valentine were fighting for their lives in places like the Raccoon City Police Department, Outbreak puts players elsewhere in the city.
No, it can't be. So many.
Outbreak follows a group of residents as they suddenly find themselves in the thick of things as Raccoon City is overrun by zombies and, well, other mutated monstrosities. There's also a big emphasis on teamwork, using character-specific traits and abilities alongside Resident Evil's survival horror elements, like limited inventory space, slow-moving characters, and largely fixed camera angles to encourage players to work together to survive. Outbreak also introduced an insidious element to players' fight for survival. Characters are all infected with one of Umbrella's deadly monster-making viruses at the start of each of the game's levels. The infection rate in each character increases over time and ramps up even faster when they take damage, forcing players to search for antiviral items. If the virus overtakes a character, well, they transform into zombies themselves and attack their former allies. It's a little bit difficult to get a complete story picture from Outbreak or its sequel, Resident Evil Outbreak File 2, which featured the same cast of characters. The games each include a series of 5 scenarios, with players picking from the 8 possible survivors and trying to make their way through a level. But the scenarios aren't presented in chronological order, or even necessarily linked together as a coherent story. One scenario has characters drinking in Jay's bar in Raccoon City when the first zombies stumble in and starts biting people, for instance, while another scenario finds the survivors stumbling into an underground Umbrella lab, working through the Raccoon City Zoo filled with mutated animals, or making their way into the Arkley Mountains and eventually to a hospital overrun by a giant murderous plant. But thanks to the trailer for Resident Evil Requiem, we know that at least some of what takes place in Outbreak and File 2 is now canonical to the Resident Evil series, and important to the events of the next game. The Requiem trailer begins by introducing FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft, a new character to the series as she receives an assignment to investigate the Wrenwood Hotel. We quickly learn that Grace's mother, Alyssa Ashcroft, was murdered at the hotel 8 years earlier. Alyssa was one of the playable characters in the Outbreak games, and they give a little backstory about her that might inform what we see in Requiem. In Outbreak, Alyssa is a reporter, and you can find her bylines in the newspapers, the Daily Raccoon, and Comet News. She's presented as a dedicated investigator, but her dialogue suggests that because of the Umbrella Corporation's control and influence in Raccoon City, she hasn't always been able to publish pieces that could have exposed the company's wrongdoing. In the sequel, Resident Evil Outbreak File 2, there's an Alyssa-focused level that gives a greater sense of her work as a journalist, as well as the lengths Umbrella has gone to in order to cover up its crimes. The scenario, Flashback, finds Alyssa and the other survivors heading into a private hospital in the Arkley Mountains outside of the city. As she makes her way to the hospital, Alyssa keeps feeling like she's been to the place before as part of an article she was pursuing, but can't seem to remember the details. She later discovers, through flashbacks and files you uncover along the way, that she was right about that strange feeling. Years earlier, another journalist, Kurt, had become convinced doctors at the hospital were using Umbrella drugs to conduct illegal experiments on the patients there, and Alyssa followed him as he went there in search of evidence. In the course of his investigation, Alyssa saw Kurt eaten alive by one of the virus-infected patients. Umbrella then used its massive influence with police and local officials to cover up the deaths at the hospital, including Kurt's. Alyssa eventually remembers what happened to her through the course of flashback, and uncovers the truth of the experiments, including one performed by the hospital administrator on his own terminally ill wife, which led her to seemingly transform into the carnivorous plant that infests the hospital. Over the years, the administrator has been leading people who wander into the woods to the hospital, killing them and feeding them to the plant. Alyssa and the other survivors defeat the administrator and destroy the plant. And with her memory somewhat restored, Alyssa vows to spread the word of Umbrella's wrongdoing and what happened to Kurt. Other scenarios in both games have the survivors eventually curing their viral infection and escaping Raccoon City before the US government destroys it with a missile to contain the outbreak. You can see the missile crater in the Resident Evil Requiem trailer. In File 2, each character gets an epilogue scene if they make it out, and Alyssa's scene suggests that, like Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, she made it her mission to blow the whistle on Umbrella.
Playing it safe may be best, but that's not what I call truly living. Fight for what you want. There's always going to be risks. You may get hurt in the end. But for me, I'd rather die having lived than live without knowing life. And taking the risks that come with life is the only way to truly know it.
Eventually, she did write an article all about the horror she learned in Raccoon City, but in the end, the story is mostly buried, thanks to the cover-up perpetrated by the US government to hide its involvement with Umbrella and what happened in Raccoon City. It's not clear if any of the other Outbreak characters canonically survived Raccoon City, as Alyssa is the only one who's been mentioned in other games. You can even find an article she wrote in Resident Evil 7 detailing the many disappearances in Dolby Parish, Louisiana, where the game takes place. And now with her mention in Resident Evil Requiem, we know that, in the years after Raccoon City, she raised a daughter before she met her ultimate fate. Requiem's trailer suggests we'll learn more about Alyssa through Grace, as well as by heading to the hotel where she was murdered. The trailer also implies that Requiem might take players back to the ruins of Raccoon City, highlighting iconic locations like the Raccoon City Police Department. So while it's not clear now, it's possible other elements of Outbreak's story could also be relevant to what happens in Requiem, but we have to wait until its release in February to find out. Either way, it's cool to finally see the events of a less remembered Resident Evil game more or less canonized by the Resident Evil Requiem announcement. Furthermore, it appears that after detours in zombified Europe and the Deep South, Resident Evil is ready to head back to the city where it all began, Raccoon City. For more on Resident Evil, be sure to check out our hands-on preview of Capcom's 9th mainline Resident Evil game.
Okay, here we go.
Everything else, you're already in the right place with IGN.
Here we go, guys.
Hello,
Capcom
everyone.
Showcase.
Welcome to Capcom Spotlight. For today's show, we'll be covering updates to games that are out now, plus new info on upcoming titles. This includes behind-the-scenes info from our developers, so be sure to watch.
Oh
until
shit,
the
here we
end.
go.
Now, let's take a look at today's first title.
The future.
Armada.
It isn't just a dream. It's a promise. One we're turning into reality. With our third generation of Luna filament and advanced generative AI, we're reshaping the line between dreams and reality. We create life for our future. Delphi Corporation.
Armada trailer.
Pass through to Earth. And why are these things trying to kill us?
There you are. All better.
You patched me up.
I am DI-03367. They are
Whoa,
pragmatic.
hang on a second. Don't you have a name or something? I'm good. Get behind me!
I think I can help.
Targets identified. Neutralizing threats.
Neutralize us?
Looks like we're gonna have to fight our way through.
Alright.
What the?
Bypassing first and second firewalls. Hooking control protocols. Initiating hack.
Hey, D.I.
I said I am DI.
Okay. Look, How about we call you Diana?
Diana?
Introducing Capcom's newest IP, Pragmata. An all-new science fiction action-adventure with a unique hacking twist. It's been a while since we first announced it, but we're excited to have the game ready for you in 2026. Today we will go over some of the unique points of Pragmata. Encountering an android with a heart. You play as Hugh Williams, a member of a team sent to investigate a lunar research facility that's lost contact. When a lunar quake strikes, Hugh is separated from the team.
So it's like
Finds
Dead
himself
Space.
saved by Diana, an android girl.
There you are. All better.
Now they must work together to return to Earth. Hugh, a bit sarcastic, but a kind soul. And Diana, a curious and enigmatic android. This is how an unlikely adventure between a human and android begins.
Dead Space Become Human.
A mix of puzzle and action. In Pragmata, combat begins with disarming the enemy's armor. Otherwise, you will find it difficult to inflict any real damage. This is where Diana comes in. Let's use her hacking ability on this enemy. Moving the cursor through the panel, you take down their armor. And now, it's Hugh's turn. Take aim at the enemy's weak points. Passing through more blue nodes increases damage, and the enemy's armor stays exposed for longer. With an arsenal of unique weapons, take on the rampaging bots. What enemy will you hack first? What weapon will you use? Thinking on the fly in the heat of combat and how you handle the multi-sided situation will be key for success. We can't wait for you to try this compelling new combat system. The AI-controlled Lunar Research Station. In Pragmata, your adventures take place at a lunar research station. They are researching a new material that can be used to 3D print almost anything, from microchips to cars and giant structures. Now, however, the lunar research station seems void of human activity. Only the lifeless world and the AI remain. Use your thrusters to move around the lunar research station.
Oh, this
You
is
will
nice.
also need to hack the systems blocking your progress. By combining their abilities, Hugh and Diana can explore this world together. Pragmata
Looks
will
so
be
nice.
available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, S, and Steam. This summer, we'll also have public hands-on for Pragmata. Experience the gameplay you just saw firsthand.
Oh,
including
yeah.
The thrilling combination of puzzle and action combat. We are looking forward to many more events where you can get your hands on Pragmata. Please
Promising.
look out for more information on Pragmata on our official social channels, website, and stores. And don't forget to follow and to add Pragmata to your wish list.
Hold on.
Check out the latest trailer for Sagat.
Oh, hell yeah. We got
番組をご覧の皆さん、こんにちは。ストリートファイター6の
Nakayama.
中山です。本日は私から皆様に最新情報をお届けいたします。
Akiyama-san.
6月5日に任天堂スイッチ2にもストリートファイター6を発売することができました。より多くの方々にゲームを遊んでいただいて、開発一同大変嬉しく思っています。また先日イヤー3に登場するキャラクターのラインナップも発表させていただきました。イヤー3では
Year 3.
クリムゾンバイパー、
Got Sea Viper, Alex, and Ingrid for Season
ユー
3.
ニットが登場する予定です。さて本日はイヤー3
Solid
最初に
lineup.
登場するサガットの映像を少しだけではありますがご用意いたしました。どうぞご覧ください。
Oh, the World Tour mode.
Hey, come on, let's go! Wait for me!
Eight feet tall. 10 feet tall. Yeah. August 5th. Oh yeah. Ah.
The Emperor of Muay Thai, Sagat, is ready for battle.
Oh yeah.
Players can also get the World Tour experience with Sagat deep in the mountains of Thailand.
Hell yeah.
The Emperor makes his landing on August 5th. To prepare for Sagat's release, the Sagat Arrives Fighting Pass will be available starting from July 4th.
Yo, that quickly.
Premium rewards include Sagat's Wanderer avatar gear. And we've also prepared some throwback stickers and emotes.
Nice.
From Sagat's days as the boss of the original Street Fighter. We're also increasing the amount of content in the Fighting Pass that can be used in Fighting Ground.
Don't expect me to be a pushover.
Oh,
Use
dope.
EX Color. Kin's EX Color.
Oh, that's sick.
Come on. Now's not the
Sick.
As well as art and effects to use with the game's Challenger customization feature. We're also
Some sick
prepping
new
music tracks
artwork.
to use in fights and more for players. Please check it out. Finally, we have information about the long-anticipated Outfit 4 content. Check out the designs of the 7 characters that will receive Outfit 4 content with the Sagat
Oh,
update.
oh yeah. Cammy and Aki.
Luke,
Oh yeah.
Chun-Li,
Oh damn.
Manon,
Manon.
Jamie,
Jamie's design looks
Kimberly,
sick.
and Aki.
Yo, these look
We're
sick.
continuing
These are
work
so
on
sick.
Outfit 4 content for these characters. And of course, are working on Outfit 4 for the rest of the roster. So please stay tuned.
本日の情報は以上となりますがいかがだったでしょうか。今回ご紹介したキャラクターやファイティングパスなどについて皆様にお届けできるよう開発チーム一丸となって最終調整に取り組んでおります。後日サガットのゲームプレイトレーラーの公開も予定しておりますので楽しみにしていただければと思います。これからもストリートファイター6をどうぞよろしくお願いします。
Oh yeah, this is great. Great news.
Next, an update from Capcom Esports.
Oh, the Pro
We'd like
Tour.
to tell you about the Capcom Pro Tour, a global competition for the world's best players. Players the world over will battle it out in regional qualifying tournaments. The Capcom Pro Tour 2025 Singles Tournament Tour is now accepting entries. anyone is welcome to join. Compete for a spot in the Capcom Cup 12 tournament, which will determine the world champion. Just like last year, the tournament will be held in the Ryogoku Kokugikan Arena in Japan. The champion of this year's tournament will once again receive a whopping $1 million prize.
Are they going to be
wanna
at
miss out
Evo
on the
Paris?
intense battles this year as players fight to become world champion. For more information about the tournament schedule and how to enter, check the Capcom Esports website.
Yo, Amelia, thank you for the follow.
This acclaimed new fusion of action and strategy,
Okunimitsu, Path of the Goddess.
Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess,
Kunitsugami.
has released on the Nintendo Switch 2. In this
Hold on a
original
moment.
Japanese-inspired world, with exhilarating dance-like sword action, strategize and fight alongside villagers as you enjoy this unique game experience. You can also use the new features of the Switch 2 and play using mouse controls. Have fun playing with the controls you want. Compatible with handheld mode, you can enjoy the game anytime, anywhere. Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, is available now. Also,
Dope.
action and strategy is further enhanced with the new extra content, Otherworldly Venture, added to all available platforms.
Oh yeah.
In the Otherworld, beyond the Torii gates, protect the maiden from nightly attacks of the sea. As you earn rewards by outlasting each wave of enemies. On an ever-changing battlefield, determine who will fight and win, and how to best use your rewards. Aim for a high score amid infinite strategies in this challenging and satisfying gameplay mode. How long will you be able to defend the maiden from the seethe in the Otherworld? Following its initial release on July 19th last year, Kunitsugami, Path of
Got
the
some
Goddess
really good
will celebrate
nominations.
its one-year anniversary next month.
I still have not checked it out, but it
We
looks
have
so
prepared
beautiful.
a small token of our appreciation for the many fans who have played the game.
Nitsugami looks this. What is this? Shiniki.
Presenting Yashichi Waves, a Mazo talisman that changes some
Oh,
music
this is
in the
an
main
update
game
for
to 8-bit
Kunitsugami.
style.
Oh, it's a rhythm game.
This can be obtained in a free update available at a later date to both new and existing players. Please look forward to the update coming soon. Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, is available now on all shown platforms. Try the game's unique experience for yourself now.
It looks gorgeous.
Next, please take a look at today's lineup of Capcom titles.
Oh, new titles?
8 action and
Oh,
fighting
okay,
games
hell
make
yeah.
their returns, including the
Capcom
legendary
Fighting Collection
Capcom
2.
vs. SNK series. Enjoy training mode and a gallery featuring sounds and artwork, as well as easy-to-use one-button specials. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 is available now. Reclaim your destiny.
Oh, I still gotta play this remaster of Onimusha 2.
A remaster from the Swordplay action series
It looks
Onimusha.
so good.
A memorable cast of characters returns to weave their deep and complex tale anew. Experience the
good.
classic graphics and gameplay refined for modern consoles.
Hi, Amelia. Yeah, I'll follow you back.
Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny is available now. Onimusha, Way of the Sword, The next entry in the swordplay
Oh,
action
I'm
game
excited
series
for
is
this.
coming in 2026.
This is going to be in my top
Early
games of
Edo
2026.
Kyoto, the protagonist, Miyamoto Musashi, will face his formidable rival,
Musashi.
Sasaki Ganryu. How will the clash between them unfold? Stay tuned for more.
This is going to be so good. Onimusha Way of the
Capcom's
Sword.
digital sale is here. Monster Hunter Wilds is on
20
sale
more
for
minutes.
the first time. Experience the most evolved action and improved immersion in any Monster Hunter to date. Also, make sure to check out other Monster Hunter games. In celebration of the horror series' latest thrilling news, Resident Evil games are on sale at great prices.
Oh yeah.
But that's not all. Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh,
Marvel
nice.
vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics.
I still have to get the Ace Attorney
titles
trilogy.
and more are on sale too. Don't miss out on this great chance to
Oh,
pick up
hell
these
yeah.
must-play hit games. From the creators of the latest Resident Evil.
開発のコンセプトは病みつきになる恐怖というのを掲げてます。恐怖を乗り越えるね気持ちよさ、そこのカタルシスってやっぱこう脳汁が出るんですよね。それ自体がもっとやりたい、遊びたいっていう中毒性を生む。そこに徹底的にフォーカスしてみたら怖いけどゲームとしても楽しい、そういうのが作れるんじゃないかなっていうのがレクイエムの出発点でした。
バイオハザードレクイエムは、シングルプレイかつ、オフラインのゲームとなっています。バイオハザードで一番重要なのは恐怖体験だと思うんですけれども、今作においてはその恐怖体験っていうところに、しっかりとフィーチャーした内容に仕上がっているんじゃないかなと思ってます。
今回の主人公は FBI 捜査官グレース・アッシュクロフト。内向的で怖がり、バイオハザードとしては割と新しいタイプのキャラクターを作ろうとしています。プレイヤーと同じ目線で一緒になって怖がれる、こういうキャラクターを狙っています。物語の中でもちろん彼女も恐怖を克服し成長していくんですけども、 FBI 捜査官なので銃の扱いも慣れてますし、冷静な推理力とかも発揮しつつ活躍するキャラクターになってます。レオンを主人公にしようっていうのは実はずっとあったんですけども、どうしてもレオンを使ったバッチバチのホラーっていうのが割と難しくて、落ちてきたバケツにびっくりするとか、そういうレオンってそんなみんな見たくないやろっていうところで、じゃあホラーと食い合わせ悪いよなっていうのがやっぱりありましたけど。
ファーストトレーラーご覧になって分かるように、グレース自身がすごいいろんな目に遭うんですね。PV で断片的には入ってるんですけれども、逆さずり一つとっても顔の赤らみ、高揚感であったりとか、うっ血してる表現、あとは髪の毛もかなり力を入れてまして、自分たちでスタッフと一緒にプロの方を呼んで実際にウィッグを使ってそこからシミュレーションして CG に落とし込んだりとかもしています。
バイオハザードレクイエムはですね、一人称視点と三人称視点2つの視点で自由に切り替えながら遊ぶことができます。主観視点だとその恐怖を間近に感じることができて、緊張感のある臨場感のあるゲームプレイっていうのが可能になります。三人称視点だとキャラクターの肩越しでの視点というところでアクション、そういったところがよく見えるゲームプレイになると思いますので、アクションが好きだなって思う方には三人称視点の方がおすすめです。
City, we're returning.
滅菌作戦以降
Returning next year.
ですけども、ゲームの舞台として登場します。
This is gonna be so cool.
その当時アンブレラ事件っていうのでシリーズがヒットして、それ以降もさまざまなキャラクターたちが、いろんなラクーンシティで起きた事件をきっかけに立ち向かっていくような人間を成長したり、 そこに今回この表現のメスを入れるっていうのは
Very free.
作り手と
That
して
game
はやっぱり
sucked.
かなり緊張感を持って臨ませてもらったっていうのが大きかったですね。
ラコーン事件に関わった、もしくはラコーン事件に巻き込まれて大きく人生を変わってしまったり、命を落としてしまったりと、そういった登場人物がたくさん出ます。レクイエムは彼らに向けての言葉通り鎮魂であり、もっと言うと
Eulogy to
バイオ
those
ハザ
that
ードシリ
came
ーズ、
before.
ラコーン事件アンブレアをきっかけに生まれたシリーズのある種一つの区切りという意味でレクイエムというタイ
Requiem
ト
to
ルをつ
mark
け
a
ています。
milestone in the series.
バイオハザードレクイエムは2026
Resident
年2月
Evil
27日に
Requiem,
発売予定です。
scheduled for release on
2026
February
年3月に
27.
バイオハザードシリーズ30
March
周年を迎えます。
2026 marks the
30
series'
周年記念
30th
タイトルの
anniversary,
名に
30
恥じぬような
years of
ゲーム
Resident
として
Evil.
本作リリースしたいなというふうに思っております。
Requiem.
グレースの母親は
大きく方針を転換してですね、
実写映画を目指すというところ
Wanted
で
to look like a live action
Further
movie.
interviews with the creators that didn't fit into today's presentation will be released today on the Resident Evil portal.
We gotta check this out
Register your
after.
Capcom ID to see the rest.
ラクーンシティっていうところは基本触っちゃいけないもんだと。
Okay, we're gonna check this out tonight.
Get ready, hunters. The guild has authorized a new Monster Hunter showcase for you.
I know a lot of Monster Hunter fans are gonna love this.
皆さんこんにちは。モンスターハンターワイルズプロデューサーの辻本です。
Monster Hunter Wild.
おかげさまで多くのハンターの皆様に楽しんでいただいております。本当にありがとうございます。今日はタイトルアップデート第2弾の情報をディレクターたちと一緒にご紹介したいと思います。それではご紹介いたします。
はい、モンスターハンターワイルズアートディレクター藤岡要です。お願いします。
はい、モンスターハンターワイルズディレクターの徳田です。よろしくお願いします。
はい、それでは早速ですが無料タイトルアップデート第2弾のプロモーション映像をご覧ください。どうぞ。
Sick. Monster Hunter Wilds X Fender is doing a collab. That's cool.
You don't get views like this sitting around back at base camp.
Everyone, it isn't safe here. Let's head back home.
Oh.
はい、というわけでいよいよ皆様にラギアクルスのお話ができる日がやってまいりましたと。これ本当にグローバルいろんなところに行っても本当にラギア人気がすごくって すごい期待されて
すごい期待
今回ようやく皆様に、登場させることをお知らせできたと。実はモンスターハンタートライっていうタイトルからラギアクルスっていうのが出てるんですけど、そこはちょっとラギアクルスの開発秘話的なところ、
モンスターハンタートライを立ち上げましょうってなって、売りになる遊びとかを水中戦とかも作ろうみたいなのがあって、でその水中をよりちゃんと面白くするにはラギアクルスが結構面白くならんといかんっていうのもあって、でもともとレウスのライバルみたいな立ち位置をちゃんと作ろうみたいな、いろんな精鋭を集めてラギアチームみたいなの作ってね。
でその時にモンスターの担当してたのがまた徳田。
そうですね、藤岡さんがディレクターで、僕が初めて最初から企画の立ち上げから調整してリリースするところまで担当させてもらったメインモンスターというところで、チームラギアですね、みんなが日々より良いモンスターにするために意見とかアイデアっていうのをぶつけ合いながら、より良いモンスターに仕上げていく経験っていうのはなんか振り返ってみるとクリエイターとしてもすごい大事な時間を過ごさせてもらったなみたいに思うようなモンスターですね。
そうね、
ワイルズでのこだわりっていうのをちょっと皆さんにもご説明したいと思うんだけど、
今回は水中ちょっとアクセント的なイベント的なやり取りっていうのはできるんですけど、主にはやっぱり地上でもやり取りしていただくような設計に変えましたので、昨今のプレイヤーのアクションできる幅っていうのも広がりながら、そこに対応しつつ、しかもラギアクルスらしさみたいなものを残したアクション設計にするというところがまず一つこだわったところです。ラギアクルスってトライの時からそうだったんですけど、水中でのこのシルエット、縦に伸びた時のシルエットっていうのは本当にかっこよくて、そこの迫力っていうのを、ぜひ感じていただきたいというところがありましたので、武器を完全に振ることは自由に振ることはできないんですけれども、ちょっとイベント的な水中のアクションっていうのも今回、なんとか実装することができましたので、そこも含めて楽しんでいただけるようなモンスターに、仕上がったんじゃないかなと思います。
もちろんラギアクルスが出てくるというところで、討伐して素材とか、入手してもらったらもちろん武器とか防具が作れるっていうところは当然あると思うんですけど、そこら辺で何かあります？
久しぶりにこうやって出てくるので、全ての人がね楽しんでもらいたいので、総中コンとかも、ちょっとなかったのを足させていただいて、全種類揃えさせてもらってます。
僕たち思い入れ強いモンスターということも今のスタッフたちも本当に分かってくれてますし、本当に一生懸命取り組んでくれました。
なかなか面白い仕上がりになってると思います。
チェックするときに担当じゃない子たちとも見に来たりとかするぐらいBGM とかもすごく
Music is fantastic.
そうね、ぜひ遊んでいただいてね、その辺はね、注目していただけたらと思っております。はい、そしてなんとセルレギオスが今回登場しますということで、セルレギオスはもともとモンスターハンター 4G というタイトルから登場しているタイトルで、モンスターハンター4の無印が実は海外版出てなくって 4G から出てるので、海外の人も結構セルレギオス馴染みある人も多いんじゃないかなとは思うんですけど、ちょっと今回のセルレギオスどんな感じになってるかっていうちょっと説明を軽くでもしてもらったら。
もともとセルレギオスは結構旋回能力高くて、レウスと違ってちょっと小回りの利く感じとスピーディーなやり取りみたいなのがもともとのコンセプトにあったんで、そのあたりちょっと今回なんですね。
モンスターハンター 4G の時も僕がメインプランナーとして、自ら概要から調整まで行った最後のモンスターなんですけど、僕足の攻撃だと人輪をうまく使ってもうテンポ感を作っていって、で後ろの回し蹴りを使って仕留めてくるようなタイプのモンスターなんですけど、4G の時にモーションの子が提案してくれて面白かったのが、斜めのキックしながら移動するみたいなアクションがあったんですけども、上下左右にステップするモンスターが多くても斜め方向にしかも攻撃あたりを出しながらやるモンスターっていうのがあまりいなくて、そこの特徴がすごく面白いモンスターだなと思ってましたんで、今回もその部分っていうのを、アップグレードして自分のアクションをぶつけていきながら遊べるようなモンスターとしてセルレギオスは、機能してくれてるんじゃないかなというふうに思います。今ご紹介しましたラギアクルスとセルレギオスは、いずれも星8の、歴戦の個体として、フィールドに登場するようになります。かなり強力なモンスターになってはおりますので、腕に自信のある方はぜひチャレンジしてみてください。
Nice. 3 monsters.
Arch-tempered monster. We'll have arch-tempered Uthduna appear for a limited time. You'll be able to
Okay.
forge the new armor sets, Uth Duna Gamma and Feline Uth Duna Gamma. Arch-tempered Uth Duna will arrive in the future as an event quest and free challenge quest. Crafting the final weapon in a tree allows you to use that weapon as layered equipment. For Artian weapons, you'll get it after fully reinforcing the Rarity 8 weapon. For Palico weapons, you'll need to forge high-rank weapons. We're adding brightness settings and filter effects to photo mode. And in the Character Display tab, you'll be able to hide your handler, Palico, Sacred, and more. We're planning on continuing to update photo mode to make it easier to use. We've added the ability to swap handlers. You'll now be able to travel with Eric instead of Alma. As for support hunters, Mina, a hunter from Vespai unit who wields a sword and shield, will be added. You'll also now be able to select which support hunters participate in quests. Furthermore, by playing with content added in the update, you'll be able to obtain a myriad of rewards. Event quests that allow you to forge special equipment. Quests that make it easier to obtain armor spheres and decorations. A challenge quest featuring Mizutsune. And a free challenge quest featuring Arch-tempered Uth Duna will be available for a limited time.
はい、ここでコラボジェスチャーが入手できるイベントクエストについてお知らせしたいと思います。フェンダーさんよりモンスターハンター20周年を記念したコラボレーションギターモンスターハンターリオレウステレキャスターが3月21日から発売しております。でゲームの方ではですね期間限定で配信予定のイベントクエストをクリアすることでこちらのギターが登場するコラボジェスチャーがなんと入手できますということになっております。今回のコラボが決まった時から結構チームもねノリノリでいろいろやってくれていろいろな今回こだわりがあるんですけどちょっといくつか紹介してもらえます？
ギターはそのまままず 3D スキャンを、自社で撮れるのがあるので、そのままの形がゲームに出せるようにして使用感とかそういうのもちょっとデザイナーのこだわりの部分で足してあげたりとかして、実際のこうちょっと使用感のあるような、ところまでこだわって再現してますと。音自体も実際のサウンドチームの人が演奏してくれてその音そのまま使ってるんですけど、アニメとかもそのキャプチャー撮る時も、サウンドのその演奏者の方にちゃんと指の動きを習ってコードが間違ってないかとか、チェックしてもらいながら全部のモーションをしっかり撮ってますんで、それなりに楽しいジェスチャーになってるんじゃないかなと思います。来週会場とかでもすごくこう映える
いいですね
ジェスチャーになるんじゃないかなと思います。
キャプチャー撮ってたじゃないですか。アイルームめっちゃ踊ってたじゃないですか。あれも実際にジェスチャーしたらオトマイルもあれをやってくれるってことですよね。
エアギターみたいなのをビーンって一緒に入って一緒にうわーって
めっちゃ弾けてたね
もう全然関係なくわー音もらしい
そういうのもぜひ見てほしいですね
楽しくみんなで楽しんでもらえたらなと思います。
みんなぜひジェスチャーやっていただけたらと思います。
はい。
There will be a range of DLC with this title update as well. There will be 4 kinds of dance gestures as free DLC. And a cosmetic DLC Pack 2 as paid DLC. Those with the Premium Deluxe Edition or the Cosmetic DLC Pass will automatically obtain it. There will also be other DLC not included in packs. In the summer, there will be a seasonal event called Festival of Accord Flame Fate. During seasonal events, the decorations and meals at the Grand Hub will change. And by playing during the event, you will be able to get limited time only equipment, gestures, pop-up camp decorations, and more. Festival of Accord Flame Fate will begin July 23rd. Let's make this summer a hot one to remember.
ここからは今後のスケジュールについておさらいいたします。無料タイトルアップデート第2弾はご覧の日程で配信予定です。追加モンスターラギアクルス、セルレギオスが登場します。また武器の重ね着装備などシステム追加を予定しています。夏の季節イベント交わりの祭事踊り火の儀を開催します。イベントクエストにて歴戦王ウズトゥナが登場します。フェンダースペシャルコラボのジェスチャーが入手できるイベントクエストを期間限定で配信します。はい、今ご紹介、いろいろさせてもらいましたが、他にも細かい調整とか入ってるところもあるんですよね。
はい。タイトルアップデート第2弾では、ハンマーの調整として新しく、ハンマー総裁成功した後に追撃するモーションというのを追加しています。その他もですね、遊びやすくなる調整っていうのを、各種進めておりますので、詳細はディレクターレターやパッチノートの方をご確認いただければと思います。
番組をご覧いただきありがとうございました。タイトルアップデート第2弾の詳しい情報は公式サイトや SNS をご覧ください。タイトルアップデート第3弾は秋頃に配信予定です。追って皆様に情報をお届けする予定ですのでお待ちいただければと思います。本日はこれにて以上となります。最後は、いつもの掛け声で、終わろうと思っております。よろしいでしょうか。はい。いきますよ。せーの。ひとかり行こうぜ。
Nice.
That does it for today's presentation. Thank you for watching. Before you go, we'll be holding a survey about today's show. Viewers of this broadcast are invited to take part on the Capcom Spot.
Okay, well that's gonna be it for today's stream.
Welcome to IGN Summer of Gaming.
We will be back tonight for more Death Stranding 2, and I will update you guys on when I go live. Until then, have a great